Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, today I bring you another side-by-side comparison between the Kindle Fire HDX 7.0 versus one of the reigning champs on the 7-inch, and that is the Nexus 7. Now, which one's going to be the best overall for you? Well, let's find out. We do have Amazon's ecosystem versus Google's ecosystem here, so let's see which one is the best overall for you. Now, when it comes to look and feel, these tablets are actually surprisingly very similar. Both textures in the back feel like one another actually. So if we see on both of these two, they have a similar backing in terms of how they look and in terms of getting kind of little smudges but no fingerprints really. I would say the Nexus is a little bit more resistant, but not by much. The touch coating feels softer on the Amazon, but the Nexus is less fingerprint prone, I would say. Having the buttons on the back versus the side is really a preference, I would say, to the least. And in terms of how the tablets stack up, you have one going for a taller aspect, so definitely a taller size in comparison, whereas one goes for a wider aspect, so definitely wider by comparison. So it's really a preference actually. I was surprised by how similar these two tablets felt to one another. For this look and feel, I would say it's your choice. Now, when it comes to web browsing on two devices, we generally first take a look at their preferences in screens. So both tablets actually sport a 7-inch 1080p screen with 1120 by 1200 pixels, which makes 323 pixels per inch. However, it's important to note that hopefully you can see the color reproduction just seems to be a lot better on the Nexus in comparing to the Amazon HDX. Now that we got that out of the way, let's see how they actually work in terms of web browsing. This is using the Chrome browser, this is using the Silk browser. And we're going to see how well each one does. This is a very heavy website. I like to try this out because it really stresses both tablets out. So in this case, the Silk one actually won by, it seemed, a second. As soon as I saw that one, I saw this one done. So I believe it did win, but it was very close. Now let's see how moving is. Good. Seems like the Chrome is a little bit more fluid. Let's try pinch to zoom. Pinch to zoom is pretty similar. And now double tap. Both are pretty similar in that aspect as well. However, one thing I do notice is with both screens, because although they both are 7 inches, the Kindle chose a little bit of a wider compared to the Nexus having narrower. You do get a little bit more on each web page in comparison if you look at the bottom. Overall though, both are great at web browsing, but the fact that you have a Chrome browser which does sync up all of your Google bookmarks and everything, I feel just the slight advantage goes to this one. And overall consistency too, or well rather, this is more consistent comparing to the Kindle. Sometimes the Kindle Silk browser will lag a bit and sometimes it won't. In this case it didn't, but it's just always not as reliable as the Chrome browser. So for web browsing, Chrome will take it on the Nexus. Now when it comes to music playback, we do have to hand it to both tablets for having stereo speakers which are actually on the opposite sides, giving you a better stereo experience. However, which one does a better job is remain to be seen. So first we're going to play it on the Kindle, then on the Nexus, then on the Kindle, then on the Nexus.
From LA to New York, Seattle to the Bay, West Coast, night flights to Hawaii, weekend late, yeah, go down to Vegas, I'm coming here, last show in Cali, headed after the state. I was a boy with a dream, had my head in the clouds. Hit my pops to pick me up, and he said he was proud. King shit with a beanie on instead of a crown. Yeah, counting all my blessings. Shout out to the Most High. Started from the bottom, now I'm sitting at the Most High. Cheap seats to the business, now I'm literally so fly. Motivated by my brokers, guess that's why they call me.
So hopefully you could hear that very easily, that when it comes to sound quality, the Kindle HDX really is the best sound quality for a 7-inch tablet out there. Just really clear, very loud, good bass, and good vocal control and voices. Very well done. So I definitely recommend for listening to music, the Kindle Fire HDX. Now when it comes to movie watching, you have 1080p screens on both devices. It's actually hard to pick which one is really better. So let's play a movie and see if we can see a noticeable difference. Okay, so to be honest, both are really good. You're not getting a bad movie watching experience with either device. So for this one, I am going to call it a draw. Important to note though is how you get your movies. For instance, Amazon, you have the Amazon Movie Prime, where you can see all of those movies. On both you have Netflix, both you have Vudu or Flickster. However, for the Google one, of course, you have the Google Play Store Movies app for Google Play Movies. So it really is a preference on where you're getting your videos from, and that should be something you should consider. Now, when it comes to the camera quality, we have an interesting situation here. The front-face camera, I would say, overall is better quality for the Kindle in terms of keeping light to a neutral tone. You are getting a better experience with the Kindle, as well as just clarity. You can see a lot of noise in the photo for the Nexus on the front. However, overall, the fact that you do have a rear camera is a great quality for the Nexus. If you want to take a good, better quality photo, the Nexus is going to have a huge advantage with the rear camera compared to the front camera. So overall, I will give this to the Nexus. Just keep in mind, for front-face camera, the Kindle does edge out the Nexus a little bit, but not having a rear camera at all gives the Nexus a bigger advantage. Now, when it comes to gaming, this was actually a very tough choice. On the one hand, you have the better processor and graphics card on the Kindle Fire HDX, so when you're playing high-end games such as these, you are going to get a better experience. However, you have the Google Play Store on the Nexus, which gives you a huge amount more games. It just really is frustrating on the Amazon App Store when you cannot find a game that you have played and liked and want to play. Whereas you have access to the full Play Store on this device simply because it's a Nexus brand and you have the Google Play Store. Overall, I felt that because of its selection versus gameplay, in terms of the gaming category, neither one really stands out as the winner, and it should be considered a draw, depending on what you want to do for your gaming purposes. In terms of battery life, both tablets are fairly good at battery life. Both are going to get you over the 6-hour mark. However, after that point, it will differ. I feel that the Nexus 7 just does give you overall better battery life by about an hour or two at times, especially when using both devices. When on standby time, both are really good at standby time, but the Nexus does run better at actually using it compared to the Kindle, which drains fairly quickly when you're actually using the device. Overall, we experienced about 6 hours to 7 hours on the Kindle, whereas the Nexus, we got more 7, up to 9 even, depending on how we're really using it. In terms of a day usage, you're definitely going to get more out of it with the Nexus comparing to the Kindle. When it comes to the extras, this was a very tough sell. They really don't have any extras hardware-wise. There is no extras hardware-wise. You don't have expandable memory. The only thing I could think of was this one can use an MHL adapter, whereas the Kindle cannot. Other than that, they're really similar. Again, exception with the rear camera on this one, but they're very similar in terms of extras. So those two are obviously some hardware extras. However, the big thing is the software difference. You do have the Amazon App Store on here versus the Google Play Store on here. This does come to a preference. If you are a Prime member, obviously it'll do good for certain things for you, such as a movie watching experience. You do have a built-in competitor of Netflix comparing to that. However, other than that, you're really getting a lot more for the Google services. When you think of all the Google has to offer in terms of music, Google Plus, a better browser with Chrome, better note-taking with Keep, you just, not to mention voice control. You do not have voice control with the built-in keyboard on here, whereas you do, of course, on here. Things like that definitely give the Nexus a advantage on the extras department. Now, when it comes to a price comparison, we have almost identical side-by-side comparison. You have a 16 gig model right here for $229, and over here you also have a 16 gig model for $229. Both tablets are $30 more for their respective 32 gig models, but really they're both very similar in what they have. Overall, you do get pretty much the same experience, and for that reason I kind of have to give a tie to the price point, because they both are really good for the best bang for your buck. Alright, let's see who won. When it comes to look and feel, we have a tie. Both are really similar in terms of look and feel. Both feel very similar in terms of touch and in terms of how you hold it. They're really very close. It's a matter of preference. When it comes to web browsing, the Nexus 7 does take it just more consistency. Although the Kindle HDX can be good at web browsing, the Silk browser compared to the Chrome browser is just a lot less consistent overall. When it comes to music, there's no doubt about it. The Kindle HDX 7-inch has the best speakers for a 7-inch tablet out there. When it comes to movies, both are really good. 1080p screens are showing very well, and both have a great movie watching experience. It will be a draw. When it comes to the camera, overall you have to give it to the Nexus 7 simply for having a rear camera where the Kindle HDX does not. For this reason, the Kindle does not win. However, the front-facing camera, sometimes the Kindle does do a better job, especially in lower light settings. When it comes to gaming, neither one really is the winner. Although the Kindle HDX does have the better processor and graphics, so your games will look better overall, the limited selection does give it a harsh comparison compared to the Nexus 7, which gives you every game in the Android ecosystem on the Google Play Store. For this reason, you will have to call it a draw. Neither one is a clear winner. When it comes to battery life, the Nexus will take it, just having a bit better battery life, overall 1 or 2 hours better for day-to-day use. When it comes to extras, the Nexus will take it more so just for not the fact of rear camera and HDMI out capability with an MHL adapter, but more so for the fact that you have a lot better software. You have the full Android ecosystem versus the limited app store on the Amazon ecosystem. When it comes to price point, again, we have a draw. $229 overall is the same price for the 16 gig model for each. So now that we tally it up, the Nexus 7 takes it. Yes, because we had a lot of draws, it came out to a 4-1. Overall, the Nexus 7 seems to be the better overall device for any user, unless of course you really just want a sound quality, and with gaming and movies, both are going to be comparable, and including price point. So it is your choice, but overall the Nexus 7 seems to be the better usage for a tablet and the 7-inch market. Hopefully you found this helpful. Please give a like, thumbs up if you did. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to ask. Thank you for watching. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.